Welcome back, listeners. I have a really fantastic episode for you today. One of my good friends and buddies, one of the people that welcomed me into the Temecula Valley Chamber, and just one of the greatest human beings you're ever going to meet on the planet. Her name is Carla Yriqui. She works for Picasso Dental Care, and she is the quintessential person you want to run into if you're in the Temecula Valley. I can't thank you enough for tuning in today, and you're going to be so happy that you did. Without further ado, everybody, welcome Miss Carla Yriqui.
Thank you, John, for that introduction, and I am honored to be here with you guys today, here in your, podcast location here in Temecula. I'm excited. I've heard a lot about your podcast, and meeting you ever since the first day we met has been we hit it off. Yeah. So I'm excited to be here and just kind of hang out with a friend and chat.
Every once in a while, maybe the only way that I know how to describe this is every once in a while, two hurricanes will meet. And somehow they become homogenous together and they find harmony. And I feel like that's us because we're two big personalities that kind of just go and do our thing. And a lot of times I would expect that to maybe clash a little bit. But I think we're like, someone else is like me. And we just kind of ran with it, And I love that about you. It's great.
I love it too because you're right. It's sometimes it's hard to find that same personality. And sometimes we may be too much for some people. Sure. But for people like ourselves, I think we embrace that energy and just kind of make the environment more joyous for others.
Amen to that. And honestly, and I give you this credit as well, and honestly, it's more on your side of things because I know I struggle with this, but it's a lot of your humility as well. Because you come at people, I mean, even me, like, I had no idea when I first met you, like, how connected you were and how well you've been in the area and what you've accomplished. And, I mean, you've done a lot of fantastic things just for our community alone, not to mention your own organization. And I would never, ever, even now, like, guess that about you if I hadn't already known. And, that's a phenomenal thing for a personality like me because we come in and we're like, notice me. And you're like, sure, let's go. And that's really a fantastic statement to someone like you to be able to have that balance of being able to be big and just like, I'm here, but still like, here's your limelight. Get over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So kudos to you for that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, it's sometimes I know that when I started doing this, it was very scary. It was frightening. Yeah. The networking realm and just being in the world of the business environment, right? I come from being that worker. And so to me, I was just like, hey, let's go work, right? Get the job done. Mm-hmm. So to be out and networking and connecting, I was super scared. Right. And when I first started doing it, I met one individual back in North County, and I call him my mentor. He laughs, but he's amazing. Like, he really held my hand. He himself is kind of like a business coach and did a lot of what I do. So he gave me all these tips and insights on it for nothing, for just sitting down having coffee with him. And just that being kind of by his side when I would go to networking events, I got to thank him for that because I was able to loosen up and learn that there are others that are also feeling the same way. Yeah. And I just want to make everybody feel comfortable and welcomed. So.
No, that's huge. And honestly, again, it's an attribute of your personality that picks up that with the character that you have, because noticing and needing mentors are two very different things, because you can need one, but not always notice that there's one there or notice that you need them.
Yeah.
And so to go after that and have that mentorship, it really shows through. And I mean, and in the end, you're giving them the greatest gratitude they could ever want because they're seeing you thrive with what they've shown you. And I can totally echo with that. I mean, me, I was in the food industry before this, which is total night and day. And it was, for me, it was kind of similar to you where a little bit fearful and weird getting out, but at the same time, it was like someone cut the leash, and so there's like this animalness that's like, yeah, and you're like, I'm free, you run out and you go do your thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got someone to actually mentor that, so it wasn't just a tornado.
Oh yeah. I mean, and it's been great. The journey has been great. I've been doing this now for got about 8 years now, the whole networking and being a little more involved in the business at the company and that I'm with, and just with growth and community, right? Being involved with your community. Yeah. I think when you're growing up as a kid and teenager, you're like, okay, you're not as involved sometimes when you didn't grow up with that, being something that you do. And growing up, there was other focuses in our family. Sure. But so when I got that opportunity to be more involved and just be a part of the community, right, I've enjoyed it. And I think if anyone has an opportunity to, why not? Just get involved,
Well, I think that's a great segue, too, for kind of where you're at now, right? So you're working for Picasso Dental. We were just talking about how there's two different brothers that you know very well, one for 15 years, I believe you said, and they started a conglomerate of dental offices, 3 of them to be exact. And I mean, they have different names, but it kind of is just encompassed by Picasso Dental.
Yep.
And you have become, I mean, the face and the liaison of this company, because I knew you for months before I realized that you didn't like own one of these things, which is also, we'll go into that more about ownership and what that looks like. But that shows to me like what you're talking about, how you were more community based and more about trying to build from a certain aspect. And they obviously saw that and wanted that as part of their vision for the business, which kudos to them for wanting that. But also, like, can you explain to me like how you would take that core value of yours and implement that in a dental way? It just seems interesting to me.
Being involved with the community and
being more community driven and from a dental office perspective, because I don't know a lot of dental offices that are nearly as active as you guys in the community.
Well, and that was one of the things that we did learn as a team, right? You have to be a part of your community,
right?
Because with dentistry, it's a big trust thing,
sure.
Right? And so patients come in and they're really trusting you with their health, their financial as well, because, it is something that they have to pay for. So it's a lot of trust involved. And so the more that we're out there in the community and being involved and not just doing things to help us, but it's for them to see that we're out there helping the community and that we're just, we're people just like them, right?
Yes.
And we empathize. And so we want them to be able to feel comfortable coming up to us, asking questions. And so I am also a registered dental assistant. And so that facilitates when I'm out in the community, if a stranger comes up to me and they tell me their fear, that's what I love. That's where my passion and my drive is, because I want to help them understand, how we can help them and not hurt them and hopefully help them do away with that fear, right? Because that is really a big part of my job as an assistant, because first and foremost, I am a dental assistant, and that is what, like I said, facilitates my marketing, because I understand it. I've been there. I've held patients' hands. I've seen a lot of it, and then I see the smiles that it brings to their faces, and so that's really it's all connected. Being out there in the community, letting them know, hey, we're here for you guys, and for them to feel comfortable and just come talk to us, and they just want to come talk to us, feel us out first, and then decide if they want to move forward. We're okay with that.
I think it's a really phenomenal take, especially because you came kind of from specifically your client's point of view. And unfortunately, kind of like my own vocation, it doesn't always start with a lot of positive. There's definitely fear. I mean, most people fear the chair, of getting into a dental office, the noises, the sounds, everything. I'll tell you, even now as a grown adult, I still hate the sound of that drill sound. And that's just the toothbrush working on my teeth, you know what I mean? And I'm like, this is creepy. So there's that aspect of it. Plus, you've got people who are either complaining about the bills or the negative effects of just maybe something that they had bad experience before. And I relate to that because in the mortgage industry, I joke about it all the time, but it's a reality. We kind of call ourselves like the used car salesman of our world, because people know we deal with money and they kind of relate us to sleazy people. But you kind of approach, and what I respect, I think this is probably another reason we connect, you approach your vocation in a similar way that I do, in that's an opportunity to stand out. Because we are then the few that are representing differently. That people can find us. We're kind of that lighthouse on a hill, right?
Exactly.
And so you guys are that for sure. I mean, how many people, I've been to so many events with you now, that I've seen running around smiling with free toothbrushes. And I'm like, they were happier about that than a lot of the other free stuff of these things. And I'm like, why are they so happy about a toothbrush? And it's because you're behind the toothbrush. And so I think that's all because you guys came in the community and you guys did exactly what you talked about. You empathized, you made it about them, and you found out what their needs were.
And that's really what it comes down to with anybody, right? With anything, even in any type of sales, in your industry, in my industry, it's getting to know our client, our patient, really letting them trust us and building a connection. You have to connect somehow, because if you can't find a connection, there's really, how do you move forward, right? And so you may disagree on something, and that just may end a connection right then and there. And so you find a way to connect with an individual and really understand their needs, what they want, right? And then go from there. So that's where the trust gets built.
Yeah, I think, there's kind of been this movement for the last, I'd say probably about 5 years in business. It's not a new concept, but it's been a movement towards it, is that servant leadership kind of feel. And there's a way to do that, because most of that's been kind of brought about in organizations from like a leadership to employee kind of relation. But I think it's just as applicable from us to a client, from sales to client. Like when clients realize that you're not offering a service, but you're actually willing to serve them, because that's the difference. Like if I feel like I'm being offered a service, I already want to hang up the phone. Like I feel like I'm a telemarketer already, right?
Yep.
But if someone really feels like they want to genuinely serve you, all of a sudden that barrier between client and salesman is gone.
Yeah.
And that's where I got to give you, like, seriously, like, hats off, hair off, it's already gone. You're probably one of the best I've seen that, where that wall just instantly kind of drops when you talk to people. And, do you have anything, and you may not, I mean, maybe this is just natural for you, but do you have anything in particular, aside from maybe what you already mentioned, that you do to kind of specifically help people achieve that comfort level?
You mean as far as just moving forward with us, or...
kind of just being able to, I mean, because from a sales standpoint, gaining the trust that you get as quickly as you do is very hard to find.
Yeah.
So, like, is there anything in particular that you know that you do to kind of help with that you haven't already mentioned? Like, for instance, like you mentioned that you go in the community and you find out like what their fears are and kind of walk with that. Is there anything else? I may be leading you down like a dead end here. I'm honestly just curious from a sales standpoint. I'd love to learn from you if there's anything that there's maybe that I'm not doing that you are, that I'm like, man, this is so simple.
I think the biggest thing is always being willing to help that person.
Sure.
Not just thinking about that final sale. Because as you said, sometimes somebody will call and they'll say, oh, I've called around and nobody can help me.
Right.
When I get that phone call, I try to find a way to help them.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, I may not have the final result for them, but I really try to help them as best as possible. Yep. Because I try to do what the other person didn't for them. Because maybe that other office didn't have the time. I'll make the time for it. I may tell them, hey, it might take me an hour or two.
Yeah.
But let me go ahead and see about doing this for you. And so it's kind of going that extra mile and not just doing what's going to get you the sale, and I think that's the biggest thing there. Yeah. No,
that resonates. That kind of echoes more detail than what I was saying, in that it's not a service, it's a servant heart that you're offering. It's a difference. And people really need to understand that breakdown, because I think a lot of times when we're in the service industry, people think they've already done their due diligence by offering that service. Mm-hmm. But I would agree with you in that most of the time, it's funny, I spend a lot of time with clients giving them advice or referrals to other people that can actually help them with what they need. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, I only do so much with lending. There's only so much I can do with a loan. And a lot of times, in order to qualify for that, they need other things, or they don't know what they need, and I help them figure that out. And so we start referring them to great people.
Yep.
And they're not used to that. They're not used to people that want to go beyond that chain.
I have a really good story for that.
Yeah, let's go for it.
So I met somebody through the Temecula Chamber, and he owns he helps seniors, right, get them placed, and so with caregivers. And so I got one of the girls at the office said that one of our patients needed to relocate.
Oh, okay.
Right, and needed some help. I think with her husband, that's what it was. Okay. And she wasn't happy with the caregiving service she had. So she had mentioned it to one of the girls in the office, and I so happened to be there. So I called my buddy John, and I was like, hey, can you help this patient of mine? And he goes, oh, it's not my territory, but let me give you the girl's number for that territory, because it's in North County.
Right.
So I called the young lady, and, I told her where I was calling from, and she goes, wait a minute, but why are you calling me from a dental office? Mm-hmm. I said, because this is one of our patients, and I know somebody that's in your industry, and, I've been there before, and at the end of the day, we go above and beyond for our patients. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if, they need a house cleaner, a caregiver, auto shop, mortgage. If we have a connection and someone that we trust that we can connect them with, that's a big plus. And that's not dentistry. No. That's just being humble and just taking the time to listen to someone and help them out. That's my big thing. So, yeah.
It literally permeates from your personality. That's why I'm saying, that's why it was so easy for me to connect with you, because there was a reality of, there's something else other than me out here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not here just to make myself look good. And I think that's something that I hate kind of going off of this next echelon of things because I don't want people to think this is why we do it. But it's a good reminder and encouragement for people because I think a lot of times people hear what we're talking about and they're like, well, that's great, but, no one ever does that for me. It's never going to come back to me. And, I'm a big believer in you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
And you do that kind of thing. And not only do you gain the trust of the client, but the person you just called is like, I gotta figure out what dental group that is. Dude, I want my teeth cleaned by that person. You know what I mean? For real, you get, or at the very least, they're gonna be like, well, that's too far for me, but I got family down there. I'm gonna be like, hey, you guys gotta call Carla up. You know what I mean? Because I would do that. I'm serious. If you called me and did that kind of track, and you were helping somebody get a mortgage, and I'm like, why is there a dental office calling me about helping their client with a mortgage right now? I'd be looking you up and be like, who do we need to give some business to right now?
Yeah.
And that's phenomenal because that's how it should work. And if we actually are in this together, and normally I don't say much about this podcast or anything, but like what it is designed to do is what we're doing right now, which is represent local and small businesses that deserve to be represented. We really came out of the 2020 craziness and said this is what we want to do to represent people that have integrity and are really trying to help the community. And you are the epitome of that. Honestly, if it wasn't for our schedules, you've been here a lot earlier because we're both insane when it comes to scheduling, guys.
Yes.
That's the only reason we see each other so much is we're scheduled all the same stuff.
That is very true. We hang out a lot.
We do. Inadvertently, but we do.
Sometimes I'm in a tooth costume, though.
Which is like my favorite moment. If you haven't seen her in the tooth costume dancing, you could not live life, by the way. But it's true, though. It's funny. I realized that I was going through some pictures on Facebook and stuff the other day, and it was like pictures of you and stuff. You and I are in a lot of pictures together, and I didn't even realize how many we were. I was like, we've hung out a lot together, and not even realized it. Which is why it's been so sad. You've been in the office more lately, but
gotta do what we gotta do. Help our patients first. Right?
Absolutely right, totally. And I totally get that. Like we were just talking, there are times I'm in here more, and you got to do whatever's going to be in the best interest of the client at that time. But I to kind of bring it back because we were just dancing around a lot of fun stuff, but. Your industry is something that is really in desperate need of some revitalization, in my opinion. And there's not a lot of understanding anymore, I think, of what it was like. I think it was a much bigger deal when we were kids about the dentist and the importance of it. And there's a lot more stuff even on TV about brushing your teeth and flossing your teeth and doing all this important stuff to take care of your dentistry and fluoride and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, like, it's kind of like disappeared to a degree. And I think that's what makes you guys stand out even more is you guys didn't, wait for some fad or for some cycle in the community or in the nation to be bigger about teeth right now. You guys like, no, we're going to be about it all the time.
Yeah.
And that's phenomenal that you guys are that way.
Our job is to educate and help, get back help our patients in the community have a good quality of life. And that, if we got to be out there and I got to remind you, if I got to dance around in a tooth and, with a big toothbrush in my hand, I'll do it. If that's going to make a child realize how important their teeth are and brushing and good oral hygiene, I'll do it.
And to your credit, I was talking about recently, I called you out for the Habitat for Humanity ad that we did.
Yes.
And, we're both taking our businesses and trying to advertise for a really great cause. Habitat for Humanity is amazing.
Yes.
And they do a lot of amazing things to house people and shelter them. So already a great cause. But then you ante up that. Excuse me. By being in a giant tooth suit, dancing with your entire office. I thought ours was funny, but yours was incredible. Not only that, but the reason I liked it too is honestly, it wasn't like a I'm going to steal the show. It was like, but we're also going to represent what we're about.
Yeah.
So people got to learn at the same time, these people need houses, but your teeth are important. We're still here to serve you. And we're about something bigger than ourselves too.
Yeah.
And that's great.
And I'm glad you called me out because we had so much fun. The team enjoyed it. They were like really shocked. They're like, we're doing lunges? What?
Yeah.
And so it really kind of gave me the opportunity to also tell them more about Habitat for Humanity.
That's
and
right.
What they do and what they have and to go to their stores and check out, and support.
Absolutely.
And then they were so excited to get their shirts. So
yeah.
They loved it. Thank you for the challenge. Anytime you want a challenge, let me know. We can do it.
Trust me, I had no doubt. It was funny. Eric, for all those of you listening, maybe you may have already seen him on the podcast earlier this year, but Eric from Habitat for Humanity was here, and he called me out and did show me the video and everything, and I was like, all right. But as soon as he called me out, he's like, but you can call other people. I was like, I already know who I'm going to call. And he's like, who is it, Carla? He's like, what Carla? I was like, because she's going to do an awesome job. I was like, and I might get the tooth suit out of her. And he's like, oh, that's smart. You're legendary for that suit.
You knew it.
I did. I was like, I got to find somebody who's as big personality as I am that will meet the call.
Oh, yeah. And hey, it was fun.
Yeah, it was. Oh, dude, and honestly, I showed that video to so many people that I knew, and they were cracking up. They thought it was great. And honestly, and that's the beauty of it, is like, I think a lot of people don't realize, because like for us, it's like, okay, we'll play the fool and it's fine. But to a lot of people, nobody recognizes it as, oh, you played a fool. It's, wow, this person, like, they're all in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a big deal.
You know, it's sometimes some of my friends will see some of the things I'm in, and I'll get, messages. Hey, I just received, this flyer or something with you on there. And, I just saw you on Facebook on this post. And I just tell them, hey, that's what I do. I represent the office. And if I'm going to be out there in a tooth costume to make people smile, then I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I can tell you one thing. After being around you long enough and knowing what Picasso does to help the community, it'll be worth it regardless of what's there. They're going to make it worth your while. They're going to make it fun. They make it worth for the family. And it's also educational.
Oh, very much so.
Always something that they can learn, something they can take home for your toothbrush or otherwise. I mean.
Yep. And if any child ever wants some brushing tips, a parent wants us to show their child, bring them over to our booth. That's the one thing we love doing is, hey, if we can show your child how to brush a little better and make it fun, so the parent doesn't get stuck, having to show them how to do it, we can do it.
Well, and that's a good point. I mean, even if the parents have described it to their kids, I got 2 boys. Sometimes things just come better through somebody else's mouth, like they've heard your mouth enough and they're like, yeah, I'm doing it the way you showed me. No, that looks nothing like what I showed you. And then there's somebody else tells them, and I'm like, that's what I told you. No, they didn't. That's what I told you. You know what I mean? And so having somebody else step in and be that little, fairy in the shoulder helps.
It does. I hope so. At the last Halloween event I did, I always hand out toothbrushes and a treat. We do still give them a treat. And one young lady, I gave her the toothbrush, and I told her, remember to brush morning and night. And she goes, you sound like my mom. And I said, well, your mom is so smart. I said, listen to your mom.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, man, my mom is right.
So there we go. Parents are right. Listen to them.
It's true. They got to hear it. But it is always really cool seeing an industry, a business, anybody come behind families and back that.
Yeah.
Even in that small way. I know it sounds silly and we're laughing about it, but parents appreciate that. I always appreciate when someone comes behind me, especially nowadays, man. There's so much challenge on parenting and stuff like that. But for you guys to be there and be like supporting them and like, no, this is important. It's a big part of what you do. It makes a big difference, man. I mean, there's a reason why there's kid shows and all that stuff happening. I mean, shoot, my kid was watching a kid show the other day that completely backed what we said about trying new foods. And now, like, it might as well be the Bible to him. Because, like, religiously, he always tries with at least 3 bites. And I'm like, well, at least we got it in your head. You know what I mean? Like, but that little bit of backing went a long way for that parenting. And parents appreciate what you guys do. It's
always helpful. If we can back you guys up, why not?
Yeah. Especially when you're in an industry where the things that you guys do are considered kind of part of, like, the habits and the things that are a little bit more monotonous and things that we kind of take for granted.
Yep.
And so it's important when someone can kind of put some fun in it, put something important to it, remind us, hey, this is why you should do it.
Yeah. And then for adults, I mean, I know brushing can't be fun, but you know what I do is I incorporate a little workout. Work out for 2 minutes as you're brushing. If you don't like 2 minutes, if you don't like to brush for the full 2 minutes, hey, do a little workout with it. Do some squats.
My wife would be so proud if I was doing some squats and brushing my teeth. Though I think I'm so uncoordinated, I'd probably end up in the shower somehow on accident. I'd be like, ah!
Watch out. That might be the next challenge for you, John.
Brush and squat. Please don't make me do this. Nobody's going to want to see what that looks like in the end. Oh man. Because I'll do it too, and it's going to be so bad. My wife's going to be like, I don't know him. No, anyways. But, I think we're going to leave it on that note. I cannot thank you so just enough for coming out here. I know how busy you are. And if you guys know anything about Carla, she's busy. And it's not because she's somebody that feels like she has to stay busy or is trying to stay busy. She's busy because she cares and she's taking care of a lot of people that need her. And I would say that her representation of Picasso Dental is exactly what that organization is. I've had a lot of people come through the chamber and other areas that I've met them that use your services and speak so highly of Picasso Dental and everything that they have. In fact, we're actually bringing my kid into the dental world soon, and he will definitely be, experiencing some Picasso Dental work. So
we're excited.
Yeah, so we're super excited that you guys do what you do and how you do it. I couldn't be more blessed to how you welcome me into the business community out here I feel like I've gained a forever friend, and it's fantastic to have you. And honestly, I really hope people listen today, because even though we kind of swapped stories and laughed a little bit here and there, there's a lot of really important things for the business world about what's important about sales and what's important about client representation that I think is just forgotten and is so important now more than ever for the small business that's hanging on right now with the thread.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. And I want to thank you, John, for having me here, you and your team. I mean, in this beautiful establishment you guys got. I'm glad we got to connect and got to meet and call each other friends now. And I look forward to a continued friendship and us being a little more involved in our community and seeing how we can help and work together.
That's right. That's right. Well, next time I see you, hopefully we'll be grabbing some tacos like we did a little while ago. If you say taco, I'm already there. Anyways, guys, I'm going to keep doing this like I always do to James, because I'll hopefully make him work and put stuff all over the screen. But essentially, you guys know where to look. You can find the links to anything that we mentioned today below. And if you want any information in regards to this weekend and the Christmas festivities, you can look up Picasso Dental on their website. They'll have more information for you there, and you can always contact them. Hopefully you get Carla on the phone, because that's the best person that can ever answer for you anyways. But that being said, we're so thankful that you tuned in with us this week. And I can't wait for you guys to see her on the air again, because I'm hoping we'll have her back.
We'll sure think about it, all right?
All right. You guys take it easy. Have a great week.
Thanks, John.
Yep.